Hey guys, welcome back for yet another stretch sesh with Sam. It's Sunday, your bodies are warm, we are ready to go, we are ready to do things. This is going to be our last week of split stretches, so things working on getting our splits. And today we're going to do a few more creative things. We're still going to stretch our splits for a couple of minutes towards the end. But we're also going to do some other things, some hip flexor openers that I really like, some stuff to prepare you for over splits, even if you're like hopelessly far from getting them, and all kinds of good stuff. And then next week, we're going to work on our shoulders and our back flexibility. So maybe we can get some good bridges in there. I have my computer over here. And so if you guys drop me comments, I can see you guys and I can reply in real time, at least if you're watching this live. If you're watching this later on YouTube, you can always DM me. Alrighty, friends, so let's go ahead and let's get started. The first thing we are going to do is we are going to start with some pulses to the ground. I'm going to stand on my yoga blocks because you know I like to do that. I like to make sure my hamstrings stay nice and flexible, but you feel free to stand on the ground. I know we keep starting with these, but I really like these, and I think they do a lot more with your hamstrings because I feel like hip flexors and hamstrings are the two biggest reasons why people don't get their splits. Quads maybe have a little something to do with it, but I feel like a good portion of it is hamstrings because that's really what held me back, and also hip flexors. But we're going to work on both of those today, so it's going to be great. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my yoga blocks here. I'm going to stand on top of them, and I'm just going to hang it out for a minute because, you know, why not? I really hope you all had a wonderful weekend. I took my kids, my gymnastics kids. I don't have real kids. I mean, they are real children. They're just my gymnast students. I don't have babies. And I took them to a meet, and they did really well. It was awesome. And so I hope for everybody that's doing color guard or gymnastics or whatever, you guys are doing awesome. So now I'm just going to do some pulses to the ground. I'm just going to reach and then push the ground away and try to bounce back down as low as I can go. Just going to do some of these balances. I have really tight knees here. If you are hopelessly far away from the ground, give yourself a little micro bend in the knees. A little micro bend never hurt anyone. And just keep going. You can do this with some weights, with a barbell instead. I think it's a style of deadlift, and I hate it, just so you guys know. Alrighty, and now I'm just going to hang it out down here for a second, as low as I can go. If as low as you can go is like your shins, that's fine. Reach to wherever you can. And I'm going to do my squats now. So squat and straighten, trying to keep my hands as low as I can. So whenever you squat, put those hands firmly on the ground. And then whenever you straighten, try to leave them there for as long as possible. And then if you have to pick it up to your fingertips, that's okay. But try to leave a little bit more of your hand on the ground every single time you do this. I've stretched a lot this week because I've been getting ready for gymnastics stuff. And so I'm a little tight today, but no big deal. Alrighty, and then I'm just going to hug my elbows and hang it out one more time. And try to reach for the ground. This is one time where a big round flat, or a big round back rather than a flat back is a pretty cool thing. Alrighty. From here, I'm just going to try to do some flat backs. So put my hands on my shins or my toes or wherever I can get a nice flat back from, and hold it, and then release down. I can bend my knees here. I like bending my knees on this part before I come. And I come back up. You do this a lot in like sun salutations if you guys do yoga, because I'm working really hard on having a nice flat back whenever I go down and touch the ground, because right now I'm a little rounded. So I'm just going to flatten it out and relax down. and flatten it out and relax. Alrighty, my hamstrings feel nice and super warm. So what we are going to do now is we're going to work on some hip flexors. I'm super excited for this. This has several stretches that I haven't done with you guys before that I believe. So, excuse me, we're going to start by standing legs apart. I like to be turned out here, and I'm just, oh, did you guys just hear my hip pop? Oh, that was rough. And I'm just gonna kind of bounce it out right here. You can put your hands on your knees if you need to. We're just trying to get everything nice and warm. So I'm just gonna bounce it out, and then I'm gonna put one shoulder in and keep bouncing just a little bit. I'm just trying to get my hips warm. And the other shoulder. And I'm gonna stand up a little bit so you can't quite see my head, and I'm just gonna keep bouncing. And then I'm gonna pop one foot. And then I'm gonna pop the other foot. And then if you're feeling really crazy, you can pop both feet. And then I'm just gonna stretch it down here for a second, because that in itself is a really big warm up. Alrighty, and come back up and try to get down as low as you can. Take those elbows and press those knees outwards. You should feel a good stretch in your hip flexors. Like I always say, if you feel a big stretch somewhere that's not where I or other people say it should be stretching, you're probably just tight in that area. There's very few things that you can do. I mean, there's lots of ways you can do a stretch wrong, but if it's a pretty easy stretch, like you're just sitting in a pigeon and you're like, ooh, this really stretches my glutes rather than my hip, that's probably just what's tight. That's not really a big deal. All right, and one more, stand up, stretch it down. Alrighty, so now what we are going to do is we're going to do, oh, this feels really good. Let's do a little sway our hip side to side. Get everything warmed up. That feels really nice. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into some pigeons. And we are going to start whichever leg you like to start with. I always like to start on my least flexible side because why not? I like to get it over with first so that I can feel really good about finishing on my good side. I'm like, yeah, I finished strong. So I'm just going to move my blocks and my band and everything out of the way and put that foot behind me. I have my front foot, my left foot taken to my right hip. So it's across my body. And I'm just trying to push myself down. I'm really trying to get this back hip, the top of my back quad, down to the ground. What you really want to try to avoid doing is sitting over on that butt cheek. So I'm not going to sit over my left butt cheek like this. I'm going to actually try to keep my hips square this direction and sit up really tall. Or you can lay down, but just trying to get those hips square to wherever you're going. If you're like really far off the ground and you're, oh my God, I don't know how to do this. This is super uncomfortable. Grab yourself a couch pillow, take it, tuck it right there, and then ta-da, you're way closer to the ground, and the pillow will naturally start to sink, but it doesn't hurt you. So that's always a really good thing to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down right here, and I like to just kind of wiggle here in this position because it keeps everything warm. And then if it's really easy getting this here, this is a flat pigeon, then what you're going to try to do is you're going to try to inch that foot up so this knee starts to make closer to a 90-degree angle. So I'm just going to pull it up a little bit because I feel comfy with it further on this side. Still trying to get the front of this right hip to the ground. And I can definitely feel it in my outer left hip. So now that I've been hanging out here for a few minutes, what I'm going to do is get that foot out from under the couch, pull it behind me. I'm going to go into a little bit of a platter pigeon. If you can bend this leg and reach around for it. If you can't, that's okay. You can always just like take your foot, pop it up on a yoga block or something just to give you a little bit more of an incline. But I don't need that. So I'm going to make sure my hips are square and I'm going to reach around. I always like to try to reach around with the opposite because it keeps me from opening up. What happens a lot, I see with my students, is they'll reach around with the same arm as this back leg. And then I'm coming away from square. My hips are opening up. This leg isn't straight behind me. Things are really wrong. So make sure that leg is straight behind you and you can reach around for it. Like I said, I like to do opposite foot because then I really make sure I'm square. It's a little bit hard. Now, if this is really hard, but you want to try it and you just like can't reach for it, you're flexible, but maybe just, I don't know, you haven't tried this before and you don't know what you're looking for. Grab your yoga strap that I have right here. Loop it around that foot. And then use that strap to pull it up. So if I use my strap, I can sit up nice and tall and I can get that foot almost to my shoulder while I'm still balancing. So I'm just going to hold this right here for a few minutes. Not a few minutes. That's a ridiculous amount of time. And I'm just going to relax here now. That was awesome. Let's try all of that on our other side. So switch over to my other pigeon. That foot behind me, sit up nice and tall. And I'm just going to inch my right foot out just a little bit. Like I said, I like to rock here. You can do whatever feels good for your body. Lay down over it. Whatever you need. And I'm going to sit up tall, reach around for that foot. Make sure my legs are in a straight line. There we go. And just pull this into me. You kind of start feeling like a pretzel. I'm like watching myself on camera right now. And I'm like, which leg is where? I'm so confused. Okay, awesome. That's one of my favorite hip flexor openers, and it really hits the outside. So what we're going to do is something I learned from someone, and I don't really know if it actually does what I think it does, but it feels really nice, and so there's no reason not to do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay in a ball, tuck my knees to my chest, or if your knees are up, whatever you need to do. But I'm going to tuck them in tight, and then I'm going to take my back, and I'm going to try to arch my back. And so I'm trying to make just a little bit of space while still holding my knees tight to my body. And so what I'm doing here is I'm feeling just like a little pinch at the top of my hips right here. And it's just your muscles releasing a little bit. And that feels really, really nice. So when you open up in just a second, you're going to be like, oh, wow, everything feels incredible. That feels awesome. My hips feel warm all the way around everything. I'm going to grab a sip of coffee because I'm not caffeinated yet today. And I have a little sleepy surprise right over here on the couch for you guys. Oh, there he is. His head is up. This little boy, little sleepy gremlin. This is Jelly Bean. So sorry, I have a Sydney in my house. Those of you that watch other Spintronics media know of Sydney. And so she's here right now. We're gonna have food as soon as we're done with this. Alrighty, so got our hips warm. The next thing we're going to do is we're just gonna work through some lunges and some shapes there. So I am going to start with, in this position, my tightrope position, where I have my legs kind of in a straight line. And we did this last week, I think. So what we're going to do is we're just going to rock back, bend that back knee, and then rock forward and rotate our hip forward. And we're just going to do a few of these rocks. So whenever I go backwards, I bend this back knee, I flex this front foot while keeping this leg really straight. And then when I go forward, I'm trying to turn my back hip in as far as I can while keeping the front leg straight. And I'm just going to do that. Like I said, if you're not flexible enough, reach further forward, whatever you need. And now I'm going to set back to a big lunge. And I have my back leg tight and my knee is not on the ground. And I'm going to sit up really tall, or as tall as I can here. If you want to get all the way up, you absolutely can. And I like to do little bounces here. It may feel kind of silly, but it really does keep everything good form. And then I'm going to drop that back knee down to the ground. And I'm just going to do a few more pulses down to the ground right here. And then I'm going to reach around for that back foot and grab it. This one's a little bit easier to grab with the same foot or with the same hand. Just make sure that you're not turning your hips open and away from square like this. I always like to make sure I'm facing the direction my hips are square to in order to keep everything good. You can grab that foot and really pull it up if you want. And then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to point and flex that foot. You could even rock all the way back to a lunge if you wanted to, and then to straight. That feels pretty awesome. I like to just do my little rocks right here since I've already taken all of the time to warm up everything. And flex that foot, tap it in and out. Think about rotating to the outside and then to the inside. More hip flexor stuff, trying to open up those joints. And I hope you guys are ready for this. I did not warn you, but we're going to go ahead and take our splits. So keeping everything nice and straight and sliding down as far as you can. I'm going to grab yoga blocks because I'm feeling a little tight today. And this is my bad side anyway. And I'm going to try to hold here for like a minute. I can see the timer on my camera screen, so we're going to use that. I really think it's important to keep this front leg very straight when you do your splits, because if you're bending it, you're not working through that full range of motion. Now, if you have to come up and you're like, I can slide down lower, but my hamstrings are really tight, then you probably need to do some more work on your hamstrings. My hamstrings are very loose, as you guys saw at the beginning, and so really what I just need is more hip flexor stuff, which is things I do work on my own. Just be stretching every single day. We're coming up close to a minute here, so just hold on for another couple of seconds and breathe. If you have a friend or somebody near you, you can always lift your arms up and have them grab your arms, and then your own weight will take your body down, but we're not doing that today. Alrighty, and come on out of it. And give yourself just a second there. That was a lot. I really do think that if you stretch your oversplits, even if you don't quite have your oversplits, you're going to see results. Obviously be kind to your body, especially if you're a little bit older, like a real adult, because your muscles aren't going to do what mine or even my students do, because my students are little. But, you know, stretching your oversplits if you're close is going to help you get that last little bit of the way down to your splits. So I'm just going to hop back up my other tightrope and rotate in and out. And now I'm going to take it back to my lunge. Sit up nice and tall, do a couple of bounces here. It's just a really lazy day. Has anybody else gotten snow? Got some snow this weekend, and I am not really a fan of it. I don't really like snow. I'm not a winter person at all. I'd much rather be doing this outside right now, but it's cold. Reach around for that back foot. Pull it in as tight as you can. Make sure you try to keep your knee over your ankle, just to keep things in a good line. I didn't think to mention that earlier, but that's an important thing to do. And I'm going to pull back and pull those hips back and point and flex my front foot. and flex it and tap it in and out. Finish getting those hip flexors a little bit, and you can really see my hip rotating like up and down. That's the goal here, is trying to get it to move in every direction. And I'm going to do a couple of these and push all the way through and back. That was really nice. I saw somebody at a meet doing this weekend, and I was like, that actually looks like it would be a really nice stretch. And then we're going to slide down. I'm going to go ahead and oversplit this one for a little while. So put my foot up on that yoga block. Put my other yoga block handy and try to get almost down to the ground. And we're holding this for a minute here. If you really need some emotional support, just have that yoga block in one hand, have that cat in the other hand. Wake him up from his nap. We're about halfway there. And I'm definitely a little tight from this week. If you don't use it, you lose it, friends. Alrighty, and go ahead and come on out of that. Great job. I am going to take a child's pose real quick. I encourage you to do the same. I feel like it's really nice on my hips after everything I just put them through. Oh, I'm sorry. We're not done yet. I hope you didn't think we were. We still got some middle splits to do because I know how bad y'all want those. So let's go ahead and let's stand up in our standing straddle like we were before. We are going to go ahead and hands on the ground. And we're going to bend our knees and look up. You feel kind of like a frog doing this. And then straighten and try to get those hands to the ground. And do it again. Really try to open up right here. And straighten. And let's do a few more of those at your own pace, whatever you like to do. And when I get down here at the bottom, I'm going to do, I believe this is called like a yogi squat here. And I'm just trying to press my knees out and sit up nice and tall with my hips low. And I'm going to go ahead and straighten and just hang out for a second. Alrighty, and let's go ahead and hop down into our frog pose. You all know what I'm talking about. Spread your knees a little wide. Make sure that your knees are in line with your ankles. And try to slide down as far as you have room for. Slide over this way. And we're going to do little rocks here, rocking back and forth. I personally don't like to put my feet together in this because I've never been able to do it, and I don't really know how much of a difference it makes. I'm sure you totally could put your feet together if you wanted, but I feel like it does more for me, having everything at 90-degree angles. And we're just going to do our little frog rocks here. And I can feel my knees sliding out on the carpet, which is cool because that's about all they do. Alrighty, and I'm going to pull it in real quick. One more static stretch. We're going to pull it in and do some butterfly here. So flap our butterfly wings. Tell me where you're going to fly to. You're going to fly to Disneyland? In the words of this preschooler I taught long ago, I'm going to go to TJ Maxx. I don't really know what it is, but I'm going to go there. That was the best part about teaching preschoolers, is you never knew what was going to come out of their mouths, and they would just say the funniest things. My older kids are much better for a variety of reasons, mostly because I can like have conversations with them because they're the only people I see most days. But man, they do not say things like the preschoolers do. Preschoolers are so funny. Alrighty, and I'm just going to try to lay down over this the best I can. I can't get my nose to my toes. That's a far reach. And you can see my hips are just like really far up. But I'm just going to keep pressing and reaching. And I'm going to move it out to my diamond, which is just a butterfly, but I'm making more of a diamond shape with my legs. My feet are a little more forward. And I'm going to reach forward and try to lay down my forehead on my heels here. If this is super duper easy for you, maybe try to give me a flat back if you can. Alrighty, we did it. We got all of the things. And now we have our straddles to stretch. So just for funsies, let's stand up and see how far out you guys can slide. I'm curious, you're curious, we're all curious. So start standing, make sure those toes are pointed outwards. You can even put your hands on the ground. I would like to try to slide from here and see how far I can go. Whew. And I can't keep my balance. This is all I got today, friends. This is not a lot. And so I'm going to grab my beautiful resistance band. This is, no joke, my favorite straddle stretch, just because it's a little static while still making me work, and I really enjoy it. If you had enough room, you could slide and you're close to your middle splits, I would suggest sliding all the way through a pancake. I definitely maybe can't do it here, but you start sitting in your straddle, and then you work those legs all the way behind you, and then you get them to close behind you in like, so you're laying on your tummy with your legs together, and then you slide back up, slide through your straddle around. I can't put my feet under this couch like I can that one, so I can't do it here for you. But if you are close, that's a really good one to do. It really makes a difference on getting your middle splits. So let's hang out. Let's grab our beautiful resistance band and just stretch this for a minute because this feels really good. Okay, so while we're stretching this out, let's have a little conversation. I'm trying to bring you guys new stretches every week, and I know some of them are repeats, but I really do feel like it's important to get into some kind of routine. It doesn't have to be like anything crazy. You don't have to stretch every single muscle of your body, but maybe just like if you're going to stretch 3 times a week, then make one day be your splits and one day be your shoulders and back and one day be, I don't know, your wrists and your arms and your ankles, whatever you need it to be, really. If you're going to get results, you have to do this often. I'm not saying you have to stretch every day, but every time you get warm, every time you like have some time to stretch, you need to be stretching, because these, and I know like clickbait trends are a thing and probably will always be a thing because somebody is always going to buy into them, but you have to consistently be doing what you're doing. You can't get your splits in one day, especially if you've never stretched a day in your life. You're not going to watch one of those 15-minute videos and be like, I have my splits now. You just can't. Especially if you work out a lot but you never stretch, your muscles are so strong they lose that flexibility. So you really have to find a good middle ground between stretch and flex. But you need to be stretching often. So you can't stretch every day. Try to stretch every other day. It's good for you. And you don't have to have the same routine. So I'm giving you lots and lots of things to pick from. Maybe there's a YouTube video you really like that you're going to use. Or maybe you're going to use my first video and you're like, I like this. This is going to work for me. Perfect. Use whatever works for you. You don't have to change it up every single time. Maybe every once in a while is cool. But it doesn't have to be unique. It just has to get you through what you need. Does that make sense? I'm so used to looking at people and then being like, or just deer in headlights, like what is happening? So no comments today. So I don't really know what you guys are thinking, but it's all good. I am still just hanging out here. I don't know if you noticed, but I grabbed a yoga block to put my elbows on because I'm trying to lean over and keep this flat back. It's, you know, relatively flat. I'm working on it. We're all just working on this together. I am not the most flexible person in the world. If I was, then, you know, I would probably have a job doing something like really cool contortion, or I'd be like working in haunted houses or something. I'm not. But it's all good. I have no idea how long we've been in the stretch, at least a minute, maybe two. It feels really nice. I just like hanging out here. I'm getting closer. If you can tell, I've been like trying to inch forward and keep those feet pulled back and like let the resistance band do what it's doing and contract behind me. And it's like working its way up my back. I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but if you let that resistance band get too far up your back, it'll like snap on your neck, and that really hurts, especially if it catches your hair. But yeah, so I'm going to make my way out of this, pull it under me, sit up, oh goodness, and then suffer because my hips just went through something they haven't been through in a week, because I have not been consistently stretching, which is why I'm not as flexible as I probably was last week. I'm going to go ahead and counter stretch this. This is one of my favorite counter stretches, but just a bent leg straddle, tap your knees in and out, or put those knees together, whatever feels good for you and your body, because that's really important. I think counter stretches are so important, and we definitely don't do enough of them, just to like neutralize all of the strain you put on your muscles. Yeah, this feels real good. Anyway, there's been a few of you here during this live stream, and I really appreciate you guys hanging out, especially if you've been here the whole time, or even just for part of it. You guys are awesome. You guys are rock stars. Let me know down in the comments of wherever you are viewing this after the live, what your fitness goals are for the new year, what your flex goals are. And like I said, I think last week, if you have some stuff you want to post on Instagram, use the hashtag Sunday Stretch Sesh. I believe that's what I said. Because Sunday Stretch Sesh with Sam is a mouthful, and that's a lot to use. But you know what? Do whatever floats your boat. I am so happy you guys were here again with me this week. Thank you so much. And yeah, have a good rest of your week. I guess this is Sunday. This is the beginning. Have a good rest of your week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and meet me back here next week. We're going to do some back and some shoulders. So maybe we can get really flexible and like pull way behind us and do bridges and put our butts on our heads and all of that good fun stuff. So, alrighty guys, see you later. Bye.